Hello, excuse my slightly clammy appearance. I'm on a lot of meds at the moment. For those who don't know, I had a bit of a mishap, but that's not what this video is about. We're going to look at some new cameras I've got, some new projects I've got coming up, and a bit of the future of the channel, because we're going to change things ever so slightly here. Now, first up, let me explain what has gone wrong. So I got a septic infection last week, which left me spending 7 days in bed on some rather strong medication, which is why I'm still looking a bit puffy and clammy, because that's one of the many side effects. But it gave me some thinking time. The thinking time also led to buying cameras whilst on morphine and codeine, but we'll get back to that at the end. I had to cancel an awful lot of work for the week I was ill. It was a really big week. We had a shoot, we had loads of portfolio reviews, we had a couple of these new photography business audits I'm doing. I had to, well, not cancel them, but shift them all over. Because I'm the only one who can do that. I'm the only one who can do the audit, the review, and I'm also the only one who could have done the shoot. I can't dep it out, it's not that sort of work. And I've had to keep this week empty as well. So I've lost 2 weeks of my life, working-wise. Now this means I've got 2 weeks next week, which should have been these ones, but I've also got the additional work. I'm also in the process of hiring new staff, but it's at the point where I'm so busy, I don't have the time to babysit people. So it's a bit of a nightmare, but I will get through it. There's going to be some very long back-to-back 14-hour days, but we will get there. But it's not all doom and gloom, because during this process, I was thinking, well, kind of falling out of love with photography a bit, and this is often what happens when I have too much thinking time. And I've decided I'm going to try other types of photography. Not professionally, just for fun, but I'm going to document it. So this week coming up, we have the Queen's funeral. Now, I think documentary photography is incredibly important when done right. And I'm going to document it, not for monetary gain, not for anything else, but to have a good documentation of the day from a non-press point of view. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to film that somehow. I don't know how we're going to do it yet. I'm not sure how the whole process is going to go together, but I'm going to do that. I've also got my press card, and I've signed up to a press agency as a photographer. So I'm going to do another day where I go out as paparazzi or as press and do a day's work doing that. I'm going to document it for you. So in the comments below, let me know what you would like to see me have a go at. Landscape photography, whatever it is, let me know, and I'm going to have a go at each different genre, and I'm going to film it just for fun. I have no intention of leaving my current one, because after all the woe is me thought, I was like, no, actually I really like what I do. I like the style of work I create, I like the people I work with, I like the work I do, I like being in my studio, which is called the Tin House. So that's all fine, that's staying as it is. But I want to try some other things out of curiosity and also just for a bit of fun, because photography, although it's fun for me, and although it is, my passion, it's also my job, and that is a very different thing. The YouTube is fun for me because it's not my job. If I don't make a video, no one cares. I mean, to be honest, if I do make a video, no one cares. But that's where we are with that. Anyway, come with me. Let me show you what's been going on. There we go. Geez, 6,400. Anyway, so here's what's been going on. Because I've got so many portfolio reviews, I've built myself a mini desk setup in here so I can do the portfolio reviews and record them for people during a live Zoom call. We'll have this camera here sat on a tripod down there, so it's good image quality, not just like webcam stuff, and also for the video audits. That is what we're doing there, but this is coming into the office, but I can't fix it in yet because my elbow hasn't got the strength to actually press a drill down. But we're going to be sticking this down in the corner down there, so I've got a little stand where I can permanently have a camera, so I can do all my stuff in here because the audio is better. Much like my film scanning setup, where it's just on one of these little clamps and it's permanently there. It works well for me. I'm going to look at the camera and film in a bit because I spent a lot of money. And I say I spent a lot of money, I thought my bank account had been hacked until I realised it was me. Now back through here, and this is part of the chaos. Come on, Auto ISO, fight for it, work for it. Can't do it, can it? I've had to get a lot of kit ready. This bottom bag down yonder, this is my bag for the photography show. It's on the Sunday 18th of September at 10:30 in the morning. At the same time that James Hoffman, the coffee legend whose YouTube channel I love, is talking, I'm doing a talk. So I won't be offended if you don't come to see me because you're going to see James Hoffman because he is far cooler. The top bag is my medium format film bag. This is coming to a different job, so it's been a separate bag. I've then got to get 2 bags from under there. See that cardboard box over there? That's my box of shame. That's all the sweets I'm not allowed to eat. The orange bag is going to London, and we're probably going to use this bag here. These are the, what are they called? Aperture Pro light bags. My lights always stay out, so I use these bags for transportation because they're brilliant. But that needs to go to London, but somewhere else in London. And this is all in the next few days. Now I know what you actually want to see is the cameras. So I'm going to tell you about what I've bought and why I've bought it. And I want you to also let me know in the comments. So please be vocal on this video. I do read all the comments. I do the little thing where you can see that I've seen it. I don't reply because I'm bad at writing and it'll take me ages. And I'll often just saying, yeah, thanks. It feels insincere. So I'd rather say nothing. Which is, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to show you this camera and I'm going to tell you why I bought it and all that good stuff, because it was a big purchase for what it is, and it's a big change, a real big change. So let's dive into that. So the other thing I bought was loads of film. And this is my film collection. Let me show you. It's so expensive, so stupidly expensive right now, but here's what I went for and why. Now, I was a big film shooter for years. Actually, most of my career I shot film professionally. For more years than I've shot film, despite my age. So, Ilford HP5 has always been my go-to black and white film. So I've got 20 rolls of 120 and 10 rolls of 35mm, which is for these guys. The 120 is for my two Bronica cameras I've got. I then got some Pan 400. This is made by Ilford, but it has less silver in it. It's cheap, it's not good, it scratches, the contrast is poor. But when you're buying old cameras like these, you need to test them. So for example, this one's going back because it has the gears slip inside the camera. Whereas this one I'm keeping because the gears work perfectly, everything works perfectly, and it's had a brand new CLA, it's good. This one, I love the brassing, but it's going back. Now where film gets really expensive is colour film. So these 3 rolls of Kodak Gold cost £20. You know, that's obscene. These 5 rolls of Portra 400 cost £80. I think it's about £50 for the Pro pack of it as well. But this is the film I've got. This is what I'm going to be shooting. The reason it's in this is because it lives in the fridge. I think I'll get through all of this in 6 months, but around 3 months' time, if I don't, a lot of it's going to be zip-locked and frozen, just so we don't lose it or waste it. But there we go. That's the film to go with. Now, what you want to know, I'd guess, is why have I bought this? Now, I'm in a very fortunate position that I can have whichever camera I want. There's not really a limit on what I can shoot with. I've just pulled the sticker off by mistake. We'll clean that later. There's not really any reason why I couldn't buy a Leica, whatever, digital Leica, film Leica, a Phase, a Hasselblad. I can get whatever I want, you know, to a certain degree. Obviously, I have to be sensible and not spend all of my money on a camera because that is stupid talk. But there's no real barrier to cameras I can have. So this is a choice rather than a necessity. And I want to talk about why I've chosen this. Now, first of all, I want a camera I can take with me everywhere, batter and not worry about. If I bought a Leica and spent maybe, what, £4,000 or £5,000 plus maybe another £6,000 on lenses, I'm not going to leave that in the boot of my car. That's going to be babied and carried around with me because it's enough money that I don't want to have to replace it. This, on the other hand, cost me a good old 350 quid. The lenses are £100 each. I bought a 28, a 35 and a 50 because they are the lenses I used when I did work as a documentary photographer or as a music tour photographer, I guess. They're the lenses I like, and they're cheap, they're good, they do the job. I also really like the option to have a viewfinder like this. Now, obviously, the Nikon F2 has a similar setup, but I've just never got on with Nikons. I just don't like them. Don't like the look, don't like the aesthetic, don't like the lenses. The old lenses are actually very good compared to the FD lenses, they're better. But the FD lenses are just cheaper, they're readily available, and this is just a nice bit of kit. I'm very happy with it, especially the fact that it's brass and clockwork. It has a battery in it, so it does have a light meter, but I always use a handheld meter anyway because my other cameras don't. But without the battery, it still functions. It is like some sort of Swiss engineered watch inside. It's just a million tiny pieces, gears and springs, and let me show you what a slow shutter speed sounds like. You can hear the cogs turning. That I like. The thought that this camera will last me my lifetime is very pleasing. It's just been CLA'd, which is cleaned, lubricated and adjusted, so everything is tight and bang on. Everything in this camera is exactly as it should be. Bought a cheap strap for £10 and I bought a red button because someone else had it in their video and I thought it looked cool, and they look cool, so I bought one too because I want to be part of the cool club. But that's why I've bought it. Now, you're also probably wondering why film and not digital. Well, I work with digital all day long. We've just done 2 big campaigns. I think one's out at the moment in all the Greggs stores and billboards. And we shot it on like a £70,000 digital camera. Beautiful images, but the camera's not fun to use. In the studio, we use the Cambo, which is a 5DS and Mamiya lenses. That's about as exciting as a digital camera is going to get as far as I'm concerned. I have no love for that camera. I have no passion towards it. Having the bellows makes it a bit more enjoyable, but it's just a digital camera. This is enjoyable for me. I love mechanical things. I like... Oh, that's a nice sound. The bikes I used to ride, they were all very like Italian hand built. That's what I was into. Steel custom built frames. Everything. I just like things to be made well. This camera will outlive any recent mirrorless camera. This is already 45 years old, and it still works like the day it was made. I don't think you're going to find a professional grade Canon SLR in 45 years time that still works. I just don't. I mean, like, the electronics alone will fail, and that's why I went for this. Now, there's other things as well. I bought it specifically to photograph the Queen's funeral, and digital is not good for archival work. Kodachrome, got my words jumbled up there, the 64 ISO one, that lasts forever as far as we know. Hard drives last about 8 to 10 years, unless you put it onto tape, and even that, you have to keep swapping the tapes over. It's a messy situation. Black and white film, we know, is very archival as well. So I wanted to shoot it on black and white film because this is not a money-making exercise. This is not an ease exercise. This is not an efficiency exercise. I want to document an important day in history that I'm going to live through, and I want it to be archival. And the reason I think I can do this, and why I think it's justifiable, because photographing someone's funeral without being invited is not an okay thing to do. There's going to be press photographers there to start with. That's fine. They need to report the news. That is what they're there to do. And they'll be taking shots that will sell for newspapers. There will be hundreds of thousands of people taking shots on their cell phones, which is great. I thoroughly endorse phone photography for documentary work. However, most of them will lose their phone at some point and won't have backed it up, or they won't have transferred it, or the files will be corrupted. I want to go there and take a non-partial documentation of the day for archival purposes. We will scan the negatives, keep digital files here, the negatives will go to my archive, and the prints will go to a separate place. I've already got a few things lined up for this. That's why I'm doing it this way, and that's why I think it's justifiable for me to do it, and I'm going to blog the whole thing. I'm not going to be talking to the camera whilst I'm there. I don't think that's appropriate. I wouldn't want that at my funeral. I am not a royalist. I'm not anti-royal. I actually just don't have an opinion because it doesn't affect me in any way. I don't care. So I think that's also interesting because there's a lot of people who are one side or the other, which is fine. That is, part of living in the world we live in. That is brilliant. But I don't have an opinion on this, so I think that might be an interesting perspective to bring in. So that I'm into doing. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you every frame I've shot in the next video, how I prepared it, what films I shot, why I took the shots, what made me decide to make that shot, and also what made the final selection. We'll see if we can get some GoPro footage whilst we're there, just of like me working. We'll see what's appropriate. I'll judge the vibe when I'm there, I think is the best way to put it. But I'm actually going to start working on this video today because as of 5 PM today, I'm travelling to a different city every day until sometime next week. So I've got to do it all today. Now, if you don't see that video come out of me photographing the Queen's funeral, 2 things probably happened. One is I got ill and couldn't make it there. 2 is the images were so bad that I'm actually deeply embarrassed by what I achieved and I'm going to pretend it never happened. And 3 is that when I went to the darkroom, because I will be developing all the colour black and white film, scanning it, printing it, the lot myself, I destroyed it. And if I do that, I like saying do, I will do a video of myself crying in a darkroom just so you can see the utter shame I've brought upon myself. Anyway, I think that noise was the delivery man coming, so I'm going to crack on. I'll see you all soon. Thank you for listening to my ramblings whilst I wait. Bye-bye.